First of all, you have lesson plans detailed enough for a teacher or substitute to use. For the people that have me, how many times have I said on your lesson plans that you need to have something that a substitute can come into your work area, and they can look at your lesson plans and they can teach what you wanted to have taught. Your lesson plans aren't just read book, have them to color workbook page. I mean, that's not a lesson plan. So it has to be detailed enough, and believe me, the principal is probably bringing that substitute down to your room, and you're going to have a certain place where your lesson plans, your plan book is going to be. They're going to come down and they're going to say, here's where they're supposed to be teaching. I don't see anything there. And the substitute, what am I going to do? So this isn't good. So make sure that you have things every day that's ready to go. And this has happened, I know. I go to school very early. And I've seen many tenured teachers come to school about 6:30 in the morning, hurry and fill out their lesson plan because they were going to be gone that day because they didn't have it done. I wouldn't get in that. I would, before I left the day before, I would make sure that my lesson plans were the next day and maybe the next day, because you never know. You're going to get that call that says something happened in your family, you're in the hospital. You'd never know that, so always be prepared. Number 2, you are organized, prepare instructional materials, advance in class. Again, that's something the people I have. Remember, I'll put up there at the top where it says instruction planning, materials in place. You've got all your worksheets run off. You've got your videos there. You've got all the things that you're going to need. You aren't having some student go to the office, or you're not scrambling for those documents. Number 3 has written evidence of planning. Again, that's just that you've got, just like now you're keeping in your journals, you're keeping your lesson plans, you're keeping your reflections. That's number 3. You've got those in place. Now that doesn't mean next year, in year 2, you're going to take what you did in year 1 and say, well, this is what I did, I'll just do that again. You may, but obviously you're going to do some things different. Page 5, this is the instructional methods, and this is the part that you're actually teaching. When I'm sitting in the room somewhere, this is what you're going to be doing. Do you have a clear instructional objective or purpose for each lesson? And you're teaching to that. Do you orient the students to the lesson? That's your anticipatory set. Do you make effective use of class time? You know, if you've got a 54-minute period and you teach for 12 minutes and say, okay, whatever you want to do for the next 40, that's not making effective use of class time. You know, we need to use that class time. And there's nothing wrong with giving students an opportunity to do things that you have told them that you'd like them to do for tomorrow or whatever. That's okay. That's your guided practice time. But if you only have a few minutes of instruction and you sit down and balance your checkbook, not a good situation. Number 4, you regularly closely monitored them as you were teaching the lesson. Number 5 is your belief that all students can learn. 6, reteaching. That's a check for understanding part. Number 7, uses a variety of question techniques that correlate. Now, what kind of questions you use? I like the WH question, where you challenge their thinking. Things that you're going to, not just a yes or no, but actually make them think about why the student responded such as that. So what I'm going to do, like again, down where it says comment section, I'm going to leave the top part blank during my observations with you, and I'm going to fill in things down here. This is where my notes are going to go. Page 6 has to do with classroom management. Classroom management is, I think, self-explanatory, and there's 5 different criteria. How well do you communicate with the students? You ensure their safety, and that's very critical. You let the kindergarten students run with pointed scissors. You know, you let them stick sharpened pencils in their ears. You know, things that, you know, and look in your room. Do you have things in your room that are potential dangers? I went to a science fair not too long ago and saw some things that weren't safe. And, you know, as a teacher, you're responsible for those students. Number 3, student behavior clearly defined, communicated. And that's critical. Make sure you know what your building policy, discipline plan is. You probably have your room rules. And again, you could have room rules even in a high school. I see nothing wrong with having, these are expectations. Now, I wouldn't put, thou shalt not talk. Thou shalt not, you know, I wouldn't be that. There's ways of having room rules that are much more positive. But again, the room rules are something I would let let the students help you. You're going to know what you want to say, but let them make the rules. So if a rule's broken, guys, we made the rules. We're a team. And one of our team members decided to break this rule. And we're not happy. We're not happy. So again, make sure that you have all those in place. 4, transitions. That's, did you start the class? Did you finish it? Or were you hurrying from the bell rang and the kids were getting up and you're, oh, no, wait, I have this to do. I mean, that's kind of a transition thing. Number 5, the classroom environment. You know, I think that's critical. How many times have I put on the sheets with the students I have, you know, neat classroom, student-friendly, lots of positive things, you know, things in the room. I hate to go in. This is a sterile room. You got, what, one poster over here or something? You know, this is we need to have, I like to see the students work there, and I like to see bulletin boards that have to do with seasons and so forth. I'm obviously talking elementary here, but even in high school, you can have some good things. Use Hillary, for example. She's got a room there that's a high school heavy math class, and there's some really neat things in there for high school students in a math class. Very attractive. The next page, competency in the subject matter. This has to do with 3 criteria there. This has to do with how do you know much with what you're talking about. If you're up here talking about knowledge command of the subject matter, I'm going to know it because you're going to feel it. If you're up there scrambling and the kids are asking you questions, you might say, you know, I don't know what that is. Let's go on. You know, and there's nothing wrong with kids asking questions. There's nothing wrong with you as a teacher saying, that's a good question. I'm not sure about that. But where can we find that answer? How can we come up with the answer to that? Let's work on that. Somebody write that down. Let's see if we can find that. I'd rather make sure that we're correct than me just make up something that's not. Okay? So in other words, you move on to that. Number 2, make subject matter clear and understandable to students. If Hillary was teaching calculus to her 2nd grade class, she's well beyond them. Likewise, if she's teaching 2nd grade math to her calculus students, that's the other opposite. It's the other way. Number 3, strives to maintain professional competency, and that's you. You make sure that you are a professional person and you try to keep competent in what you're doing. Page number 8 has to do with your professional responsibilities. Demonstrates positive, constructive interpersonal relationships, rapport with your coworkers. If you sit in there with your door shut all the time and your lights off during your prep period, and you don't want people to interact with you, I think that's a problem. I'm not saying you can't shut your door, you can't turn your lights off. Sometimes you just got a noon hour, you want the door shut, and you just need some time to reflect here. But if you do that day after day, and coworkers say, "Hey, let's go down. Let's have a cup of coffee or a glass of tea or something," and you don't, no, I don't want to do that. I think it's very important that you work with your colleagues next door to you and around you, so that they know that you are a person that is also a team player. Number 2 is action punctual with reports. That's critical. I could tell you, and I had a staff of 100 people. When I would say, this is due, I knew exactly to what 3 people that I was going to have to go to that didn't get it done. I didn't have to go through all 97 of them and say, well, I didn't get that one. I just knew. We had that conversation. Why do you procrastinate? If it's something that needs to be done as soon as you get it, just get it done and put it back. Let me lose it. And I've done that. But make sure that you have things in a timely manner.